Okay, looking at the factorisation puzzle. So for A, we're looking at x squared take 7x plus 10. So going through our little factorisation flowchart, are there any common factors? There are no common factors in this question. Then we go through, is it a squared take b squared? No, it's not, so it's not that one. Is it a perfect square? Looking at the last letter, is it square? No, so not going to be that one. Is there a number in front of the x squared? No, there's not, so it's not going to be that one. So the only one left, it's got to be this one, which is our go-to if there's nothing else to use. So what we need to do is work out the factors of 10. So it's going to be 1 and 10, negative 1 and negative 10. So 1 and 10 out to 11, that adds up to a negative 11. So then we're going to go 2 and 5, so that gives us 7. Negative 2 and negative 5 gives us negative 7. So that's the number we're going to use, because that's what we wanted to get to, because that over here is negative 7. So our answer here is going to be x takes 2, x take 5. For L, x squared plus 8x take 48. Again, we go through the process. Is there any common factors? No, there are no common factors in this one. Is it an a squared take b squared? No, it's not. Is it a perfect square? The last term is not squared, so it's not that one. Is there a number in front of the x squared? No, it's not, so it's not going to be that one. So therefore, we need to use this process again. Again, we need to write down the factors of negative 48. Don't forget there's a negative sign there. So it's going to be negative 1 and 48, and 1 and negative 48. So then we can go negative 2 and 24, and 2 and negative 24. Don't forget we need to write down the sums of these as we go through. So that's going to be 22, and this is going to be negative 22. We're aiming for 8. So 3 goes into 48. That goes in 16 times, so negative 3 and 16. So that's going to give me 13, and 3 and negative 16 is going to give me negative 13, so not quite there. So then we can go 4, so negative 4 and 12, so that's going to give me 8. That's as far as I have to go, because that's positive 8. So we now can write the answer to this one, being x take 4, x plus 8. Don't forget at any particular point in time, you can use FOIL to expand these to check to make sure you've done the factorisation correctly. Next one, T. We've got 12x, take 5x, take 2. Again, we go through our flow chart. Is there any common factors? 12, negative 5 and negative 2? No, there's not. There's no number that goes in all three of those. Is it an a squared take b squared? No, it's not. Is it a perfect square? 2 is not a square number, so therefore it's not. Also with that, there's a negative sign in front here. As soon as you see a negative sign, it can't be a perfect square. Is there a number in front of the x squared? Yes, there is. So we're going to go through that process. So for that process, we need to do AC. So that's going to be 12 times by negative 2. So that's going to be negative 24. Now we need to work out the factors of negative 24. So it's going to be negative 1 and 24. That gives us 23. And 1 and negative 24, that gives us negative 23. We now go through each one of those, and the answer we need to get is negative 5. So we're going to go negative 2 and 12, that gives me 10, and 2 and negative 12, which gives me negative 10. Then 3 doesn't go, 3 does, so negative 3 and 8, so that's going to give me 5, and 3 and negative 8, that's going to give me negative 5. So I'll stop there because that's what I'm after. So now we need to go through the, this is using this one, so we need to split that middle term. Now I forgot up here, that's the 12x squared. So here we're going to have equal 12x squared plus 3x, take 8x, take 2. What we do here is split it up into two terms. So there's the first term, there's the second term, and I'm going to put a plus sign in there. The reason I put a plus sign in there is that I want to add those two terms. Remembering, if you add a negative number, that's the same as taking away. And so here, positive 1 times by negative 8 still gives me negative 8x. So now, when I factorise these things, out of the first one here, I can take out a factor of 3, and I can take a factor of x. So I'm going to be left with 4x plus 1. And the second one, then the second one, I'm going to be left with, take a factor there of negative 2. And I'm left with 4x plus 1. So now I can do 4x plus 1, and I'm left with 3x take 2. And so there's my answer for that one. Question part C. We've got x plus 2, take x plus 2 squared. So again, is there any common factor? Yes, there is a common factor in this one. So we can do common factor. The common factor here is x plus 2. So if I take an x plus 2 out, the first term I'm left with an x, then I'm going to take away, and the second term I'm left with one of the x plus 2's. So now what I need to do is simplify that second bracket. So we've got x, now negative, that's like saying negative 1. So negative 1 times x, negative 1 times by positive 2. So I'm going to have take x, take 2. So that's going to be x plus 2. Negative 2 is going to be left in there because x take x is 0. So just be pedantic, we'd write that as negative 2x plus 2. Next one, we're up to n. X plus x squared plus x to the 4. So again, we go for our flowchart. Is there any common factors? Yes, there is. There's a common factor of x. So next line, we're going to write x, 1 plus x cubed. Now, if we had a bit more experience with the able to factorise a cubic, we don't have any experience of doing that, so that's as far as we can go. We'd leave it like that. Next, u. We've got x plus 2, x plus 3, take away 2x plus 2. So again, we go through. Is there a common factor? There most definitely is. The common factor here is x plus 2 and x plus 2. So we can take out a common factor of x plus 2. And the first one there, we're left with an x plus 3. And then we're going to left with a take 2. So again, we look at that. We leave the first one there. There's nothing left to do with those brackets, so we can drop them. So I got x plus 3 take 2. So 3 take 2 is 1. So I'm going to be left with x plus 1. And that is now factorised. E is our next one. So E is 6x squared plus 7x take 3. So first thing we look at, is there any common factors? No, there's not. 6, 7 and 3, there's no common factor between those three. Is it a difference of two squares? Is an a squared take b squared? No, it's not. So it's not going to be that one. Is the last term a perfect square? No, because there's a negative sign in there, so we can't deal with that. Is there a number in front of the x squared? Yes, there is. So we're going to follow that process. So that's AC. So it's going to be 6 times negative 3. So that gives me negative 18. So now I need to work out the factors of negative 18 that add up to 7. So it's going to be negative 1, 18. So it's going to give me 17. And 1 and negative 18, which is going to be negative 17. Then we're going to go negative 2 and 9, which is going to give me 7. And that's as far as I have to go, because that's what I need. Because we've got the bit in the middle, number in front of here, we now need to split the middle term. So it's going to be 6x squared, take 2x plus 9x, take 3. And in that, we've got our first term and we've got our second term. So factorising the first term, we've got 2x as a common factor. So that's going to be 3x take 1. And plus, and taking out the second one, we've got a 3 comes out of there. So we go left with 3x take 1. So take out a factor of 3x take 1. And we've got 2x plus 3. And that is now factorised. Going on to the next one. O. We've got 16x squared take 25. Going through our table again, there are no common factors, so don't worry about that bit. Is it an a squared take b squared? Well, definitely a take sign in there. Looks like it's possibly square numbers, so let's have a look at that. 16, well that's just 4 squared, so that actually can be written as 4x squared. 25 is actually 5 squared. So yes, we can do the difference of 2 squares. So that's just going to be 4x plus 5, 4x take 5. And that's as far as we have to go with that one. W. We've got x squared take 121. Again, we go through. Is there any common factors? No, there's not. Is it an a squared take b squared? Well, we've got 2 terms. We're just going to make sure that they're squared. Well, the first term is definitely squared because that's x squared. And 121 happens to be 11 squared, so most definitely is that one. So we can continue with that. So that's going to be equal to x plus 11, x take 11. Go on to our next one, which is going to be f, which is x squared take 13x plus 22. So go through the process again. Is there any common factors? No, there's not any common factors. Is it an a squared take b squared? No, it's not, because there's 3 terms. There's a positive sign there, but is 22 a squared number? No, it's not. Is there a number in front of the x squared? No, there's not. So we need to go through this last one. So to do that last one, we need to work out the factors of 22, which is 1 and 22, and negative 1 and negative 22. So that's going to be 23, and that's going to be negative 23. What we want to do is get to negative 13. So that's going to be 2 and 11, which is going to give us 13, and negative 2 and negative 11, which is going to give us negative 13, which is the correct answer. And because there's no thing in front of the x squared, we can just write that as x take 2, x take 11, and that is now factorised. Next one we've got here is p. 12x squared plus 2x take 2. So we go through this process. Is there any common factor? Yes, there is a common factor of 2. So we can take 2 out the front. So we're left with 6x squared plus x take 1. Now, can we go any further? Yes, we can. Well, we need to check to see if we can, because it's still a quadratic, so we need to be able to factorise that further. Is it an a squared take b squared? No, it's not. It's got a negative sign there, so it's not a perfect square. There is a number in front of the x squared, so that's where we need to go through. So AC equals 6 times by negative 1, so equals negative 6. So we need to work out the factors of negative 6 that add up to 1. So that's going to be 2, negative 3, or 3. Let's start that one again. We could go negative 1 and 6, that's going to be 5, or 1 and negative 6, that's going to be negative 5. We have negative 2 and 3, which is going to give us 1. So that's what we want. So now we need to split that term. So that's going to be 2, because we need to leave that out the front. 6x squared, take 2x plus 3x, take 1. So again, let's group our first 2 terms and our last 2 terms. So that's going to be equal to 2, because that's going to stay out the front. This first one here, we can take out a factor of 2x. So that's going to be 3x take 1. Plus, going to take out a factor we can't do anything. So that's going to be 3x take 1. And if we take take out a common factor there. We're going to have 2 out the front. We're going to have 3x take 1, the first bracket, and 2x plus 1 as the second bracket. So that is P worked out. X. We got 6x squared. Take 7x. Take 3. So again, we go through the process. Can we find any common factors? No, we can't. Do we... Is it a difference of 2 squares? No, it's not. It's not a perfect square. So we need, it's number in front of the x squared, so we need to look at that. So again, AC equals 6 times by negative 3 equals negative 18. So now we need to find the factors of negative 18 that add up to negative 7. So we have negative 1 and 18, so that's going to be 17. And we have 1 and negative 18, that's going to give us negative 17. We're going to have negative 2 and 9, which is going to be negative 7. So that's going to be positive 7. And so we're going to have 2 and negative 9. It's going to be negative 7, so that's the one we want. So going through the next step here, we're going to have 6x squared, take 9x plus 2x, take 3. So again, first term, last term. So that if take out a factor here, we're going to take out 3x. So we're left here with 2x, take 3. Plus, take a factor here, there's none, so it's just going to be 2x, take 3. So that's going to be 2x, take 3, 3x plus 1. So that's for x. G, we've got negative 6x cubed plus 4x. We go through the process. Is there a common factor? There most definitely is a common factor. We can take out a common factor of 2x. 2x, and then left here is negative 3x squared plus 2. Are we able to do anything else to that? Yes, we can. Is it a difference of 2 squares? No, it's not. Is it a perfect square? No, it's not. But there is a value in front of the x squared. So we need to go through this process. So we need to look at AC. That's negative 3 times by 2. So that's going to give us negative 6. Go through the factors of negative 6. And the factors of negative 6 that add up to 0. And I've made a mistake there somewhere along the line. I think we just leave that one factorised as is. Let's quickly have a look at my factorisation here and see if there's one of them down the bottom. No, it's not. Yes, so there is. So we don't have to factorise that any further. We can leave that one as is. So we're not going to go any further. We're going to stop there. I apologise for that. Sometimes you just need to look at the final answer sheet. Because this is actually a code that we're trying to break. And that particular factorisation was on the code. So R, we've got 7x, take 21. Can we take any common factors? We can. We can take out a 7, so equals 7, x take 3, and again that's as far as we can go there. So that's R done. So Y. Got x squared plus 3x take 18. So again, we go through our process. Is there any common factors? No, there's not. It's not a difference of 2 squares. It's not a perfect square. If we go over here, there's no number in front of the x squared, so it's going to be this one. So we now need to go through the factors of negative 18. So that's going to be negative 1, 18. That adds up to 17. And 1 and negative 18, which adds up to negative 17. we need to get up to negative positive 3. So we can do negative 2 and 9, which is going to give us 7, and 2 and negative 9, which is going to give us negative 7. We can give us negative 3 and 6, which is going to give us positive 3. That's as far as we need to go. So what we can do here is this, so the next line is going to be x take 3, x plus 6 is going to be our factorisation. Next one, so I, 36x squared, take 49y squared. So, is there any common factors? No, there are no common factors. Is it a difference of two squares? Well, it's two terms and they're taken away and there's some squares in there. So let's see if that is. So 36 is 6 squared. That's x, so that's going to be 6x squared. 49 is 7 squared, so that's going to be 7y all squared. So then, yes, it is a difference of two squares. So that's going to be 6x plus 7y. 6x take 7y. And our last one, which is s, 2xy plus 6y. And we go through our process here. Is there any common factors? There's most definitely is. We can take out a factor of 2y. Here we're left with x, and here we are left with 3. And that is as far as we need to go. That is all the questions on the factorisation puzzle.